Hello friends and welcome to the LCS Challengers League promotion tournament. Great stuff up ahead of us, and here with two amazing people to be starting off today's show. First we got Cubby, second we have Grapes. Grapes, really excited to have you here. I know last time you were hosting, you were doing my job, you're crushing it. We get to hear you cast today. How have you been enjoying the promotion tournament so far?
Oh, it's been incredible, Sierra. And now I'm in the middle, so I have friends on like both sides of me. This is a great time here. The qualifier teams have been doing pretty good, so I'm glad that I still kind of have a role here to provide some expertise.
The qualifier teams are bringing the heat. All of our qualifier casters are right there along with them, so it's definitely been a great time so far. For anyone who might not quite know or quite be familiar with the promotion tournament or how it's going down though, we do have a quick little explainer video to get you up to speed. Welcome to the Spring 2023 LCS Challengers League promotion tournament. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Smax, and we're here to talk you through everything you need to know.
The promotion tournament will feature 8 teams from the North American developmental landscape, the 4 lowest placing NACL provisional teams from Spring, and the 4 teams who earned the most qualification points across the 2 NACL Spring Open qualifiers. These 8 teams will be placed into a modified double elimination bracket. Our first round will have a provisional team matched up against a qualifier team in a best of 3.
Seeding for the 4 provisional teams was based off performance in the NACL playoffs, while the qualifier teams were ranked by total points earned across both open qualifiers. The winners of the first round will play each other in the upper bracket best of 5, with those winners becoming the first 2 teams welcomed into the summer NACL season. The losers of round 1 will be sent down to the lower bracket, where they will play a do or die best of 3 against another round 1 loser. The winners of this best of 3 will move on to our lower bracket best of 5, where they will face off against the loser of an upper bracket best of 5 to qualify for summer NACL. Those eliminated will have the chance to re-enter the open qualifiers next split to earn the chance to challenge the promotion tournament once again.
So, best of luck to the teams competing, and we'll see you there. There's already been a lot of great action that transpired so far as well in our promotion tournament. It's been great, and I'm realizing, Cubby, I didn't actually let you speak at the beginning. I said hello, and I said, nah, this is the Grape Show. I don't care what you have to say. So, Cubby, how have you been? How are you been enjoying the promotion tournament? Are you doing okay, friend?
It's been great. I'm excited to be joining for this day and this day only for the promotion tournament. And unfortunately, I joined on the day where we have to say goodbye to teams first, but hey, I'm really excited to actually be paired up with you as always, Sierra, and also Grapes. Always does good work with the OQ stuff, so excited to have him here.
A little bit of spoilers there that we're on to our eliminations, which we are, in fact. Our bracket's been rounding out quite nicely, and being this deep into the tournament already, we do already have 2 qualified teams that we will be joining us in summer. But looking ahead at that bottom bracket, there's still some great matches to be played. And of course, Grapes, this is going to be the point where there's elimination on the line for these teams. So their last chance to try and secure a spot moving forward into summer.
Yeah, these past 2 days, we said hello to our first new teams entering the NACL. And today, we'll have to say goodbye to 2 teams as well. But how crazy is it that 3 of our top 4 seeds are finding themselves here today in those do or die best of 3s? I mean, these are some teams that, of course, struggled a little bit throughout the NACL regular season, but was not expecting them to fall to some of these qualifier squads.
I gotta say, I was really surprised with the form of Tony Top and also Taco. I was pretty confident that Maryville would actually get through, but I think especially Tony Top squad, Levitate, Snow really stepped up from talking with you guys who covered all the OQs, right? I haven't been fully caught up on that tape, so I know that you guys were really impressed, like, hey, they're playing better in this tournament, and it really felt like that was one of the reasons they actually made it through without having to play that second best of 5. But I gotta say, Maryville, they've had a tough route. I mean, going up against Last Dance, you gotta figure like you could take advantage of that, but having to go through AoE, and then because of how that first round panned out, they have to face the winner of TLF or FlyFam. I still feel like Maryville gets through, but that is not an easy path to get through at all.
I agree with thinking they'll be able to make their way through, because sure, yes, a little bit of a tough draw with going up against AoE Gold, but both of those matches that we're having in the uppers to get qualified were actually really, really close. Yeah. So I'm actually pretty scared for the teams that are going to be competing today, the ones that do make it on to the next round, because they are going to have to fight any step of the way. But I want to talk a little bit more about those teams that we're going to be seeing in summer, because we got to see some great games the last couple of days. And of course, now this is going to be AoE Gold and Team Tony Top to be moving on. Grapes, this is super exciting and definitely deserved.
Yeah, the first qualifier team the new team to enter the NACL, Team Tony Top. I mean, they had a really, really back and forth series against Team Fish Taco. This was a matchup that we saw before, and it was Tony taking it 2-1 in a best of 3. This time, 3-2 in a best of 5. And again, as Kabi said, it was Levitate and Snow, this young bot lane, both in their first splits that really showed up.
I was really impressed with Levitate's solution, specifically in the best of 3 to get there. I know that from some of you that talked with Tony Top, I mean, just winning that best of 3 against, I believe it was Flyfan. They felt like that was the best series they actually played as a squad. So I think that this team, stepping up at the right time, and now they have the spot. For anyone interested in the next steps for NACL, they must keep 3 out of the 5 players to retain that spot, I believe, moving forward into the next split. So really excited to see quite a few of these players compete as they earned it. And then on the flip side, I see it Olaf running wild in the backline, Graves. Must be Quacker.
Quacker, known for Darius, but now definitely going to be known for Olaf as well. I mean, that guy had a crazy series, especially when he had access to that champion. But shouts to Maryville as well. We know that this was definitely one of the stronger qualifier teams coming in, winning both of those tournaments. And they really put up a fight against a team that we were not expecting to be here in this promotion relegation tournament. And
I mean, you're giving kudos to Maryville. That's well deserved. I know AoE also gave a lot of kudos to Maryville. I pinged both like Winnie after they won, and then Skytech too, because I saw Skytech the day before as he was practicing in the GG facility. Skytech was like, yeah, this is gonna be like pretty easy. We feel like the tournament, like we don't know if we're gonna drop a game, like we can get through. And then afterwards he was like, yeah, Maryville was way better than we thought. That was actually a fun series, but obviously they made it. Job's done. So congrats to them.
And going on forward too with the fire under them, I'm intrigued with how they're going to be able to perform in our Challengers League going on to summer, because that's where they get to graduate into next. Of course, the promotion tournament was so much on the line, so congratulations over to them. You can see I specifically love the Team Tony Top here.
I love how, Sierra, you found a picture of exactly 10 students graduating, so you could have every single one of them represented. And also the fact that you didn't go for the faces of the players, you went for the logos, just so you could have Tony Top up there 5 times.
I mean, the Tony Top faces really make it. The transition yesterday we had from production after the solo kill in Game 5, we're like panned up to Tony Top's face. That was really like the peak of what this tournament can be. I feel like that's where we reached full potential.
I love it so much. It cracks me up, and that's an official promotional, like, the team going on forward into our Challengers League. So there's gonna be a lot more of that on the horizon. There's still gonna be 2 spots up for grab going forward, and that's what the tail end of this tournament is going to be focusing on. Of course, the fact that the matches up that we have going on today, that it's not all roses, it's not all great time, because 4 teams are going to be battling it out today and only 2 are going to be moving on forward. Started off, it will be the last dance, potentially their last dance, going up against Supernova later on. This will be Flyfam and TLF fighting it out.
Yeah, the second matchup really intrigues me because, we're down here already with Tony Top already promoting. That means that we will have to say goodbye to at least one of our NACL provisional teams coming into this day. And Flyfan versus Team Liquid first. Of course, they both had some rough seasons, but each had promising moments here and there. It's kind of a shock to see that we have to say goodbye to them at the end of the today.
Yeah, I think that second matchup's really interesting. I felt really confident that Maryville would actually qualify getting out of this tournament. I thought that like TLF versus Flyfam, I thought maybe like one of them would get out of the tournament. Now, I mean, that route, they have to go through each other, and the winner has to face Maryville. That's going to be really tough for both of our teams. And honestly, for all 4 of the teams that are playing here today, we have more tape on the teams that await them. But I favor the teams that await them. So I'm really looking to see something from our 4 teams, not just to stay in this tournament, but to give themselves a chance to really achieve that true goal of this tournament, which is to qualify for NACL again next split. So really hoping to see more from everyone competing today if they want to have a good chance to make that spot.
We started today's broadcast off on a happy note, but it's about to get dark. It's about to get serious.
Oh.
We have elimination on the line for these teams, all right? It's scary up ahead. Any team, this is any mistake could be their last going on forward, and we got to start talking about these teams because it could be the last chance that we see them. Last dance going up against Supernova to start things off, and these were tough losses to get to this point too. I mean, the fact that there is the 4 teams left, settling it out. We'll start talking about Last Dance first because this was a team that's definitely faced a little bit of adversity going on forward, Cubby.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, for the Last Dance, I don't want to be too biased, but we threw the Jordans on. The Jordans are on today. That's all I'm gonna say for these guys. But this is a team. They had a lot of roster changes throughout the split. Keep in mind, Sketchy was playing AD at first with Plux, and then they got in, Town eventually for Serenok. Now it's Messages competing, so even more changes going in. And it feels like from talking with them, they really haven't ever been able to find that groove as a team, but also they're going to have to find it today. There is no other choice, no second lives anymore for the Last Dance. If they want to do what the team did and actually, qualify or I guess win out, they have to start winning today. And for me, all eyes really go on NXI for that.
Yeah, and I feel bad because I feel like NXI is always who we highlight, being that person that going on forward, if we want to see Last Dance be able to move on, to take this game, to take this series, we're looking to NXI. But honestly, NXI over in the jungle, I feel like this path to jungle is really going to be a key to victory here.
Being blunt, NXI, we feel like is the strongest player on CLG Faith, like in terms of experience. We haven't really seen that from NXI. I think that it's been tough this split because he hasn't had many winning lanes. But also being blunt, Kisno was the weak point of Supernova in that last series. And NXI, this is his chance to really exploit the jungle of Supernova and give the Last Dance that advantage they need to move forward.
Yeah, with Supernova, this is a team too. When we look at the top specifically, great. There's definitely some highlights here, but is it going to be enough?
Yeah, this is a team with some veterancy, also some new players specifically in that mid jungle. But if you think of Supernova, you think of, mainstays in amateur, and one mainstay in amateur on this team, and now semi-pro as we have transitioned to the NACL system, is Dragoon up in the top lane. This guy has been around for many years and has been a top laner in this kind of tier 3 scene, always waiting for that opportunity to really make it up to the top, and had some pretty good moments, was probably the shining light on that Supernova team just a couple of days ago when they faced off against AoE.
Definitely going to need to be then a highlight going on today. And something to note too, obviously, when they got knocked down into the lower bracket, Last Dance was facing off against Maryville and Supernova up against AoE, which are two of the really strong teams, the kind of Titans that we've talked about in this tournament. So now this will be a chance going up against each other, Cubby, to really see what they're capable of.
Yeah, I do want to return to Dragoon real quick, just to kind of add on what Grapes is saying. Not only a mainstay of amateur, but I can't tell you how many times, I've heard in tryouts that, coaches be like, hey, Dragoon was good, or, he's close, we might go for Dragoon, we could pick him up, and he's just really been that close to actually breaking into academy teams in the past and now challengers teams. I feel like he's played decently well in this event as well. So I just... It's kind of like we're waiting for Dragoon to get that chance, and what better opportunity than in this tournament to really show up when it counts. As Dragoon, he has been a strong player in the past, and we're really hoping to see some more of that today.
Yeah, it's been a lot of these kind of counter pick carry matchups that Dragoon has really thrived on. We saw a clip there from last season in the PGCQ on Darius where he really carried his team through Taco Gaming. That's of course a signature pick of his, but actually has been a little bit more on the tank side this time around in the qualifiers for 2023. So I'm interested to see if Supernova decide to put a little bit more attention towards Dragoon, give him some more resources, because we know how strong he is when given that opportunity.
And up next, we're gonna pass this one back to you, Grapes, to break it down, because there's a couple of graphic designers out here, and I'd love you to break down this Dragoon smash.
Well, that's kind of if you've been around the semi-pro tier 3 scene, this is a phrase that has kind of emerged in the last couple of years. Shout out to Summer for that legendary clip from 2021. But Dragoon, in the era that we had Proving Grounds, made 3 out of the 4 tournaments as a top laner for one of the best teams in that level. We can see just continue to put up results, and as we mentioned before, some of those pocket picks that he's really able to carry on if given the opportunity.
Yeah, and in Dragoon's past, that Mirage, though, that was actually Dignitas Mirage, too, so he has been involved in LCS tier 3 teams. Again, this has been a player so close so many times. Like I talked to coaches like, hey, Dragoon's in our tryout. We just didn't go with him. Sometimes, you know, we felt like Dragoon was the mainstay, but like, oh, there ended up being an import, like in one scenario. Went for someone younger in another scenario. Like Dragoon is a player that he's put up some results. I think he really improved his laning phase in the back half of last year as well. And so for this year on Supernova was a pretty competitive team, especially with Hyper. I know Kisno, I feel like this team has taken a little bit of a step back, but again, going up against the Last Dance, it is the weakest Challengers team that we have here. This is Supernova's opportunity to try and move forward.
And we'll have to see if they have what it takes. We're going back to best of threes for this one. Elimination on the line. We'll have to see who can get that jump start here out on the Rift for game number 1. But it's time for the match. It's time for the draft. So I'm going to send you 2 off.
Thank you so much, Sierra. We are ready to get into things here. First elimination best of 3 of the NACL promotion tournament. Last Dance going to be starting off on the blue side, as their logo kind of suggests. Supernova on red. And already, Cubby, as we head into this picks and ban phase, we're seeing focus down towards the bottom lane of Supernova, where Azog and Chookies have looked really good in lane throughout the qualifiers.
I gotta say, I mean, Chookies is someone that, you know, coming from a little bit of collegiate background myself, love to see our collegiate players. We have a lot competing in this tournament. He was on the championship University of St. Thomas team, trying to take that next step. I think that both him and Azog, who does have collegiate experience in his past as well with Maryville, they were a pleasant surprise, let's say, in the first series that we did see. I think that game 1 against AoE to take down Lynx and Skytech, they were a bot lane that was competitive with a lot of our Challengers teams. That was a really good look for Supernova. We spent some time talking about Dragoon and the top side, but from talking with you before this, Grapes, you really feel like the side lanes are where Supernova has the best opportunity to find some sort of advantage.
Yeah, not only because they've been performers this tournament, but also just because they've been kind of the more experienced side of things here for this team. The mid jungle here for Supernova, very, very young. Kisno and Onat are both, I guess, considered rookies at this point in time. Onat specifically has looked really, really good in this split, while Kisno is that recent substitute as Hyper had to step away to get promoted up into FlyFam. So I'm really looking at these, you know, the bot lane and of course Dragoon, who we mentioned earlier on in the pre-show. But already we're seeing that bot lane focus here with the Zyra Khan getting locked in for Supernova.
Yeah, that's interesting to me. So a lot of picks were open because we have, you know, some focus. You can see Supernova really trying to focus down NXI with that Kindred and Lee Sin takeaway. But that Gragas first pick, usually we see Rakan and Xayah denied for that combo, actually given over this time around. So that will be a powerful bot lane for Azog and Chookies to try and find some advantage. Now, Jinx, Thresh, you can space Xayah, but that early power with the synergy between Xayah and Rakan just popping those Ws will enable you to get priority early. And I would love the Wukong follow-up too. I think this is a really nice opening draft for Supernova to have a lot of mid-game and snap engage potential already.
Yeah, Wukong, definitely a pick that Kisno has been comfortable on throughout 2023. Interestingly enough, both of these junglers really, really like to play the Kindred, and with Supernova being on the red side, they decided to ban that away, instead of it being banned against them like we typically see. But with that Wukong already locked in, we're going to see some jungle bans towards NXI, who, as we mentioned, was somebody who we're really looking at to have a great game, great series for the Last Dance to continue to move on.
Curious if Supernova takes away Jace here. It's one of the more powerful combos that we have with Gragas. If you don't want to put the Gragas in the jungle, that is something. NXI, he likes to play, you know, the champions that you can invade, get up on the face on. Also, I mean, Viego's, I guess, off the table now, but another champ where we feel like NXI, we expect him to be on a carry in this matchup to try and punish Kisno, who is the newest member of Supernova, has, I think, the least amount of experience and is a weaker link from what we saw in that first best of 3. Looks like Supernova with that Graves ban still expects that Gragas to actually be in one of the lanes, but they didn't get rid of Jace. I would just love to see Jace taken here.
It would be good. Messages has had some great games on that Jace, and of course would be okay into that Annie that has been locked in for Onat. We did see Bajani lock in the Gragas 2 times in their series against Maryville, so I would not be surprised to see that headed towards the top side of the map, especially with NXI, as you said, probably wanting to get a good matchup up against Kisno's Wukong. Waiting a little bit, it's going to be the Syndra locked in for Messages. I don't think he's picked it this season, but has been something that he was good at, especially last year when he competed for third party in the Proving Ground Circuit qualifiers. Yeah, Messages, of course, being a little bit more that mage player. I think Messages has been flexible, but for me, he's really stood out like on that Azir pre-patch. I thought he was really strong. So actually, as we move forward in the draft, Jarvan can be flexed. I'm expecting that to be for NXI in the jungle, but that tells me
a lot of focus on actually mid lane. Annie Wukong, that is a pretty winning mid-jungle duo, but with Jarvan, you can lock down that Xayah, that Annie with a Cataclysm, and try and combo with the Syndra. Also, Syndra does have a lot of scaling, but also gives you unique kill threat when you are trying to play that mid-jungle 2v2, just given her kit and the burst damage you can do single target. So I actually think it's an okay pivot here from the Last Dance, as we have K'Sante wrapping things up.
Yeah, we were maybe looking for Dragoon to have a little bit more of a carry champion in his hands, but this K'Sante has been something that Supernova have relied on throughout the season, so not surprised to see that here.
All right. Grapes, I know you're from OQs. You know, I think that you're a little bit biased towards Supernova. I just
maybe
want
a
to
little
throw out real quick. I might be a little bit biased towards the Last Dance, okay?
Okay. Oh, gosh. What? Oh! Oh, the Jordans!
Yeah.
Oh man, they're the same color as the Bulls.
We had to bust out the bias. You know, it's the Last Dance. You know, actually, fun fact: the Last Dance, it was released 2 days ago, 3 years, or as of 2 days ago, 3 years ago. So the Last Dance were actually competing when the Last Dance was released, and we got the Jordans on for it.
That was an impressive pose. Did you stretch beforehand to make sure that you could like get all the way up there?
No, I always talk about running. You got to stay flexible. Don't run in these though. These are not for running. These are for comfortable standing. Fortunately.
Yeah, and for hooping, maybe for competing here, which is what the Last Dance is going to have to do. Might be the last series that both of these teams play. We're on to the Rift game number 1. One last best of 3, as we will eliminate our first team in the NACL promotion tournament after the conclusion of this.
Excited for this one, Grapes. Excited to be working with you as well. As we dive into this game, I think a big thing for me early is actually going to be whether or not the Xayah plus Rakan can get priority. I believe this lane should be able to get priority, especially looking at the summoner spells taken. I would actually love to see like an early ghost popped with the Xayah when you press the W's of both Xayah and Rakan level 1. That is a winning strategy. You have to close the gap against the Jinx plus Thresh, but your damage you have early, very aggressive. Want to see if Supernova's bot lane can step up, much like what they did against AoE in Game 1 in this tournament on their last series.
Yeah, that was a bright spot for side of Supernova. They had a couple kind of just 2v2 kills with Azog on the Jhin against that bot lane Lynx and Skytech, who again were very competitive throughout the split. But Aaron and Sketch, they've been a bot lane that have been getting into some 2v2 kills of their own as well. So could be an explosive one down in the bot side, especially with 2 tanks up top.
Yeah, I think Sketch has been a bright spot for me with, COG Faith, now the Last Dance. Some of the, I feel like, can develop first role or first split in support, as there was a role swap for Sketch. And I think Sketch has had some nice moments early on. So I'm going to see if we can see more of that. As all eyes on when Rakan and Xayah press that W should be together. We'll see if Sketch can cancel. It's actually going to be a Q start here for the Rakan. That's fine. You can eat up some of the poke, but it just take away some of that all-in potential.
Maybe when we hit level 2, when the Feather Call comes back in, Azog and Chookies can really turn things up. But they're going to see that early pushing power to Aaron and Sketch, as NXI is on the bot side of the map.
This is unique. So there is a ward on the Raptor camp, but also a ward dropped here. So NXI is going to be spotted as he does go to the other side of the map. And Wukong, he actually dropped his Krugs and is now going to drop a little bit more. As it is level 1 still for Supernova. They cannot contest this, so NXI going to utilize the power of the early Jarvan to get camp for himself.
Now I wonder, does Kisno decide to just invade the top side of the map instead, go for that vertical jungle approach? Because NXI already onto the blue buff. Looks like instead it will be Kisno headed over to try and punish NXI on a potential dive. Chookie's coming in here with the grand entrance. Kisno gonna jump forward as well. The Flag and Drag has already been used, but Azog has the opportunity to flash over the wall. The Ignite is ticking. That sentence landing in onto Kisno, and it looks like Last Dance will be fine for now.
They're going to need some decent poke on the way out, too, as they got to get back to the wave.
Oh, they're going to go back in. Kisno has not left. Kisno's going in on the Sketch. Sketch is at less than 200 HP, still has the flash, and will be able to back away. But overall, a nice punish there as Supernova makes sure that Last Dance don't get too much.
And it still is a win for NXI. He gets the camp. Kisno, it's not like he's farming at this point. Because there's no blood, he's not ramping himself ahead. So NXI just gets to return to his jungle. Bot Crab will likely be seeded away to that Wukong, but NXI can just clear Raptors and then head towards the top side. He's going to skip over the Raptors and head towards the top side right now. Awkward clear. I got to say, because Jarvan hasn't rotated out that Raptors camp yet, it will hurt on the second clear. That's just the easiest camp to get and have access to. But at least it is, that Jinx surviving the early power of the Xayah so far.
Gonna go for a back, pick up that cull as well for Aaron. Just a little bit of extra scaling as we'll not lose too much with the wave crashing in as soon as the last dance bot lane does arrive again. Top side of the map though, Dragoon has had control of this lane throughout the first couple of minutes, and this was again an angle where we saw an opportunity maybe for Supernova, of course with Dragoon, this champion of tier 3, try to get this opportunity once again.
Dragoon does have a little bit of a lead into the Gragas. I must say that is expected, as it does look like Bajani will be going for that tank iteration of the Gragas with that grasp, just with the D shield. So that will favor Cassante for sure in this lane. So we'll have to see again if Dragoon can cash in, as Gragas will mostly be for utility here. And for Supernova, with this draft, they have winning lanes early. I want to see next. You know, you talked about Grapes, so Supernova, they usually win through sides. This is a mid-jungle that can really help enable sides if you can win the 2v2 and go put that pressure elsewhere with that Annie. So for me, it's eyes on Kisno and Onat to see if they can work together to make some plays and make sure they can snowball that elsewhere.
And that's a great point, because when Supernova have looked good, it is with Kisno and Onat working together. The problem is there are times where they seem a little bit disjointed, not always on the same page, as these are two younger players. Onat says he has been working to continue to build his synergy with Kisno on these roams, and again, with the composition that Supernova have set up, that is going to be where this team needs to find opportunities.
Speaking of opportunities, Plate going over to the Dragoon. It's going to feel nice, but that will be traded out for the early Dragon, as NXI are going to focus on that. And because of the bot lane priority, this Jinx Thresh staying safe. They have yet to be all in. Do win the poke war. Good start for the Last Dance, taking that early Dragon, and it will enable for them to contest the Rift Herald later. I think if they want to contest Rift Herald Grapes, they're going to have to rotate their bot lane up, given how this Cassante versus Gragas matchup plays out and will play out moving forward. So all eyes on that, see if the Last Dance wants to fully commit to that, or if they decide to stay bot, get some plates for the Jinx.
It's interesting because we have Aaron on a scaling bot laner, maybe just deciding to stay around, pick up as much farm as possible instead of going for that rotation. You can see them going for their resets now, headed back towards bot, so it probably won't be at that exact 8-minute mark if a Herald will be contested by the Last Dance. So we will see if that continues to be the area of focus, because as you said, top side looking really good for Supernova as of now.
I'd love to see Dragoon. Again, I feel like where Dragoon has really improved has been that laning phase. So this is a winning matchup for the Cassante with where things are at the moment. So good to see Dragoon cash in on that. And curiously enough, actually looks to be building early Kindle Gem. We'll see what that ends up turning into. I like the early ability haste. I feel like this is going to delay his first item a bit, depending on what he ends up going.
Probably Gauntlet, right?
Yeah, it could be the Gauntlet, but I feel like these first two items, again, very lane focused. Dragoon is ahead in that itemization, and with Rift Herald coming up, you have Annie plus Wukong. Important that you can utilize that top lane priority and the power that you took in draft to make sure that Rift Herald goes your way, because that first Dragon not going your way does hurt a little bit.
Yeah, as you mentioned, early game kind of in favor of Supernova, as they do have that slight gold lead, about 150 in total. And Herald spawning about 40 seconds. Kisno currently on the bot side of the map, and Onat is as well. Facing a little bit of a ward there for some protection for Azog and Chookies, and not going to go for a play down bottom just yet because that objective is spawning so soon.
You can see there are already wards dropped by both of our top laners here on the Rift Herald. Again, I think a lot of focus on this, just given the draft for Supernova. You have Annie, you have Wukong. You're going to be so strong at this Herald fight, especially with the winning top laner. So, want to see if our OQ team can cash in on the power they took, as Kisno will have to pick up a camp or two more to actually ding 6. That will be a little bit of a problem. He's on the wrong side of the map as Herald spawns. And NXI with double 6. You can always go bot. I mean, this could be an opportunity for a power play here for the Last Dance, but no, it looks like he's going to look mid. Onat.
NXI was spotted on a control ward, and action down in the bot lane as well. Aaron had the Ignite cleansed away from him, as now the Jinx has dinged level 6, so maybe Supernova don't want to go as aggressive towards the bot side of the map. NXI making another wraparound towards the mid lane. Onat could be a bit vulnerable. Oh, if that scatter hit, I think that was the signal to go.
Nice sidestep. That Summoner Spell being burned to the bot side. You can actually see Wukong's looking there as Onat.
Still has a flash. Flag and Drag comes out, not hitting that knockup. Onat going to try to wait for the Cataclysm to come out before using the Summoner Spell, and NXI knows better than to burn it before that Rift Herald spawns.
I'd love to see some patience from a younger player in Onat. as it doesn't have the TP available. This is good for the last dance. Syndra does have TP up, so Messages can base, shot, buy, and is going to be very favored at this point of the lane until Onat is able to get out or find a reset. Would love to see the last dance again actually try and turn this into a Rift Herald. I feel like this is the timer for them to look forward, as Annie will have to reset and Syndra's back here.
You see Onat playing so carefully. These are two mid laners actually that really kind of showed up in the tier 3 system this season. Of course, Messages originally from Native, getting the opportunity with the last dance after Native failed to qualify. And a big reason that they failed to qualify was because of Supernova blocking their path. One series win would have actually brought them over that threshold. So maybe Messages looking for a little bit of revenge here. Has, of course, that priority over Onat as we've continued to see.
Love that thread, as Messages doing a nice job again. Talked about the advantage that Supernova took in draft with Wukong Annie. Syndra being that nice counter pick to Annie. Messages has used it well. You highlighted comfort for him, especially looking at his past, but at the moment, the last dance in that comfort zone is Sketches. They've been able to rotate up here first, where Khan is behind. So the last dance utilizing that bot priority, as I talked about, to try and open up the Rift Herald, given that top lane hasn't been going their way yet. And the last dance going to do so successfully without any contest. So really good macro coming out of our challenger squad here, Grapes. Make sure that the first two neutrals go their way uncontested.
And this is what NXI is able to do when given that opportunity. Of course, I think a large reason why we haven't seen him necessarily at his potential is the struggles that his laners have had. But right now, you see them holding their own, and it has allowed him to make these plays. Now, pinks towards the Dragon as well, as the last dance maybe trying to go 3 for 3 here on objectives. They've already stunned up Kisno. The Unleashed power comes out, and Messages gets first blood all by himself.
Oh man, Kisno had flash up, walking there. That's really tough. You can just go the long way. Sweeper was available to try and get him in, but Kisno takes the greedy path, and that's going to be another neutral given over to the last dance. A good find from them.
Just a little bit too far forward. Kisno really wanted to try and match the timing with NXI onto the play. Supernova maybe not done just yet. NXI has a smite, so this Dragon should go over rather easily, but Chucky's maybe still looking to fight. The quickness has come out, but the flag and drag over from NXI will just ensure his safety.
2 dragons for the last dance, and I know we're still in the early game, but oh, hold on, that's a nice hook.
Another engage. Remember, no ulti out of Chucky's, has just used it on that previous play. Maybe would have been a good opportunity to have that ultimate come out, but now Azog and Chucky's just gonna continue to try and farm things up. Kisno around to make sure that everything is okay for them. But right now, last dance, sitting at about a 1k gold lead. This is maybe not a sight that you're super familiar with if you've been only watching the NACL.
Yeah, again, last dance, definitely a team that struggled. Only winning, I believe it was 2 games total. And dropping a whole lot more. But this is a new name, a new tournament. A little bit of a different roster, and a good look for them in this game 1. Shout out to Bajani as well. I think levels help Gragas here, but he's actually managed to turn around this top lane matchup a little bit in his favor, as both top laners are sitting at a whole heck of a lot of gold. Oh, hold on.
There's the ulti coming out from Dragoon. Bajani locked in under the tower. The empowered W damage did not land, but Bajani still getting chased down here. Has to burn the explosive cast to make sure that he stays alive.
I think all eyes still have to be on Dragoon, because we haven't really talked much about the scaling. Hold on.
Message is already getting bursted down by the double ultimate combo. That's the young mid-jungle duo making their presence known as Messages goes down.
That's needed for Supernova, because I was about to start talking about the scaling of the last dance. You have Syndra, Jinx, Thresh. This core will be very strong as the game moves forward. Supernova have to use this Annie Wukong to try and get leads now, or else they get in trouble. So the fact they're down 2 dragons and 1k gold, it's really, really poor for Supernova, because the range of a Jinx plus Syndra, if they get ahead and if it's executed correctly, it is going to be really difficult for Supernova to face. So they need to start finding snap engages to get themselves some gold now. But also they have to be ready to find a lot of them moving forward, because if that first engage doesn't connect, they will have trouble in the longer team fights, given the peel that the last dance have available to them.
Yeah, but as you said, job not really over yet for the early game of Supernova. That was a nice play, but they need to continue making them in order to maybe regain a little bit of control here in this first game. Rift Herald spawned in the mid lane. That will get at least 1 plate, if not a little bit more, as Messages despite dying there earlier on, continuing to have that priority with the help of NXI.
Oh, a little close there as NXI basing on a ward. Spotted it, was able to make it back home safely though. And do want to return to kind of what you were talking about with Luis messages, you know, a little bit of a revenge game for him, Grapes.
Yeah.
I mean, when you take Jarvan plus Syndra, that's a big focus on the mid-jungle 2v2. It's not like the Last Dance have been able to find a ton, but they have been able to at least slow down that Wukong Annie, which, looking at the rest of their comp, they're going to enjoy, as that was close.
Almost hit onto Azog, but now maybe a trade back for Supernova. NXI was there to make sure that Aaron and Sketch were safe, as not really a whole lot to fight over, or, you know, other than just priority here in this bottom lane. Kisno's around. There is no vision available for the Last Dance, so Wukong will be able to get into the bush pretty easily.
Oh, here we go.
Here they go, double knockup. Beautifully timed there by Chookies, as Aaron's already chunked down pretty low. It took a little bit longer, but they finally get the first kill. Sketch the next target as well. 2 kills for Supernova in the bottom lane.
I really like that move from Kisno. His top camps are up, so the Last Dance would have had him up here, but he skips over everything, walks into the lane. Is now NXI?
Yeah, Azog uses the ultimate to make sure that he does not get knocked up, but now made it got a little bit too far forward. There's the Cataclysm, and NXI already has 2 kills. Now 1v1 between these junglers. Flagging Drag comes out. Kisno does not win this 1v1, or does he? The last heal, not enough, as a triple kill comes through for NXI.
Azog has to flash out of the Jarvan ult, was not able to do so as NXI picks up a 1v3 triple. We talked about how if the Last Dance wants to move forward, NXI is the player that has the most experience, has won on the biggest stage. We felt like it was his time to step up, and guess what NXI is doing, man? Weapon X is here as this Jarvan, I mean, this is the first DQ, but the Cataclysm was so valuable, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Azog had to use the ulti again to just get away from the knockup, and then just greeting. 1 extra auto was all that it took for NXI to pull the trigger. And a beautiful Cataclysm, and then this is a 1v1 on top of that as well.
Yeah, he finds all 3. Wukong so good in the skirmishes, but not quite enough as the power of Jarvan. It reigns supreme. As now that's set up for the next dragon. There are still summoner spells available for Supernova, but there is no Cyclone yet. All eyes really have to be on Annie, Wukong, plus Rakan. I think the Chookies, Onat, and Kisno, they have to sync up and find a Queen Snap engage, or else the Last Dance, they're already too far ahead.
Supernova don't have ultimate on Kisno, Azog, or Chookies. Last Dance only missing that Cataclysm that NXI used in the last engage. Dragon, already about half HP. Will NXI try to go for the steal? Does have the smite and the flag and drag. It might just be a 50-50. There comes the cask. NXI gonna try to walk his way in. Scatter coming out onto Onat, and the dragon is secured by Supernova, but now Dragoon on the backside of the fight, walking down messages to the backline, is eviscerated on the Last Dance's side. Aaron gets 1 reset, but does get knocked back up with the Intofo strike. NXI diving in with a 3-man Cataclysm once again. Vajani's here to join him as well. Aaron on the backside trying to stave off Onat, and he will flash away. Fight on multiple fronts. Onat goes down, a double kill to NXI. The Last Dance winning this one hard. They go 3 for 1 despite losing the Drake, and they're not done just yet. Chookies has to use the Battle Dance to try and escape, as it is the Supernova bot lane who will live to tell the tale.
NXI has been so massive in this game. In the pregame, we were teasing NXI and Dragoon, and I gotta say, Dragoon, he had a nice find there. He was actually able to get the Syndra into the rest of his team. They took down messages early, but the lead for the Last Dance, we can already see it really coming to fruition as NXI, no one can deal with him in the backline. He's doing so much damage, buying so much time, and him and Bajani, they made it so that the carries of Supernova could really never get on Aaron, who did enough damage for the Last Dance to wipe the rest of this fight.
I'm surprised that Aaron lived for so long, because you see here Dragoon just in the middle of the entire Supernova enemy team. They locked down messages. I thought that fight would certainly have gone their way, but then NXI gets the ultimate up, and crucially, Azog does not have his, which means he's very vulnerable on this engage.
And this is the big one from NXI. The triple Cataclysm into the Gore Drinker, was able to flag and drag his way out of there. Some beautiful Jarvan mechanics. As Onat with the flash, able to sneak around, gets cleaned up though. Johnny and NXI syncing up, really good to see from the Last Dance. This was a team that didn't win a lot of games in Challengers, but our provisional squad dropping down now to the promo relegation tournament. They at least want to fight for the right to earn that best of 5 to get back into the league. And this sure looks like it's a game 1 that's going to be going in their favor here, Grapes.
Just realized if Last Dance wants to regain their spot into the NACL, they're going to have to win more games than they did all regular season. Just winning this series alone would match that total, and then of course having another best of 5 after that versus Team Fish Taco. So still a long road ahead of them, but for now, what we've been seeing is them actually playing really well around their jungler, NXI, which was the win condition we brought up in the pre-show.
Again, this is a player who has won on the LCS stage. Keep in mind that FlyQuest Academy squad back in 21, it was the full swap that FlyQuest pulled off. NXI was a big part of that. As, ooh, nice lantern there from Aaron, gets him out of the play. So Last Dance continues to push. Onat.
Oh, yeah. Onat's just in so much trouble. Doesn't have the flash. It's just too easy. NXI is dominating on the Jarvan. I was worried that this wasn't enough of a carry champion for him, but he's making me look really silly here.
He's making everyone look silly on the Rift here, Graves. That's the more important part.
Yeah.
As Chucky's going to take some damage. Now, the Last Dance, they could actually rotate down onto the Zyrakan if they wanted to. So, Azog and Chucky's, they have to retreat to the bot side jungle. They're not going to retreat, though, at all on the top side, as they at least want an inhibitor turret in the Last Dance. They are smashing this game.
5,000 gold lead at 20 minutes. The Rocket just going to deny the backs once again and actually puts Azog below 100 HP. Sketchdreams wants the smoke. He wants some blood. I don't know. You know, if he was playing ADC like he was last year, maybe. But maybe just buying enough time for Bajani here. The cast does get kill forced away.
Okay. Got Nicholas there on the bot side. Big difference, though. I mean, NXI. We asked for the step up. If there's any time. We saw Kisdo's performance in round 1. It wasn't the strongest. The latest member stepping in the Supernova. I think that Kisdo has to put together some better games. The Supernova wants to have a bit of a chance here. I think that the gank bot was a really good look from Kisdo, but the answer from NXI made the 1v3 triple way too damn good, as he is willing his team to move forward, and it's a 5k gold lead. You have the Jinx Syndra backline. This is a game that should be won here for Last Dance now. But just see how much they learned from the teams that really were beating the crap out of them in Challengers League for how to close out a game here, Graves, because this is not a very familiar situation here for the Last Dance on stage.
We brought up the mid-jungle 2v2 as being really important. You see a 5k goldie for Last Dance, and as the gold was just popped up, almost all of that is in NXI and Messages, the star player for the Last Dance and the new addition to the team as well. But now Aaron wants to join in on the party as well. Azog has to flash away using that ghost in addition to the other summoner spell. So now down a lot of safety with that dragon spawning in just 30 seconds.
That's got to be dragon seeded for Supernova, no? You have no sums now on the Xayah. Xayah, one of the reasons I was asking for Jace in draft is that Xayah is very vulnerable against poke. The range of Syndra is going to be something that is going to be so difficult now for Azog to deal with. Moving towards this dragon, I made one scatter Graves, and that can be a one-shot Xayah.
Azog really far in the back. Getch's going to open things up here with a hook onto Dragoon, who looks to try find an all-out onto a crucial target. Cass comes out, knocks away 3 as the fight got split for a little bit there. The Last Dance not wanting to engage too hard just yet. They want to find the perfect engage. Scatter lands onto Azog. Kisno looking for an opportunity as well. Both sides waiting to pull the trigger.
Like this from the Last Dance. Just play off of these hooks. Play off the poke. They have to be careful, though, now, because Onat
looking for something. Kisno going to dive in, but NXI does onto the backline as well. Everybody's locked up, but Kisno one-shots Aaron on the backline. NXI now has to flash away. 2 kills for Supernova as Azog picks up another as well. Bajani sure to go down. Supernova, 5 members strong. Take out 3 and take the Infernal Drake.
Aaron didn't have flash, and the way that the Last Dance were retreating, they actually got split. So Onat flashes on the Jinx, gets one shot as the Annie plus the Wukong, they combine to find something, and Supernova find a play to get themselves at least back in this game a little bit.
Goldie's still in favor of the Last Dance, but we can see what happens if the cards of Supernova are played correctly. Take a look at this replay here. Aaron kind of just dies instantaneously off this engage.
I mean, this retreat from NXI Messages, they're like, all right, do we go on Azog? Like, can we actually find it? Yeah, they do, but it's too late. Aaron gets one shot. And once that Jinx is gone, we saw how much damage Aaron was able to pump out in the previous fight where he wasn't touched, but now that he's gone, Messages was zoned out by the Cassante. He felt like he couldn't get involved. You need that Jinx and Cinder to fight front to back. So the Last Dance, as they were retreating, they split up, they split off. They didn't stay as a 5-stack. That really hurt them there, and Supernova took full advantage of that opening.
You can see that at the end of the replay. Supernova just kind of had all the squad together. Last Dance had things split up a little bit. Messages was on the wrong side of things almost, and really was not able to contribute all too much. Now,
I mean, Supernova, they're down in gold, but they have map control right now, Graves. They're actually able to get vision over this Baron. You can see the Last Dance, they're a little bit more on the back foot now. They still have ways to scout and brushes with Gragas casts, or I should say barrels, and then flag and drags from NXI. So they can at least fight back on the map. I think they should still be able to get mid priority, but this is a much more even game. Now, I favor the Last Dance moving forward. If they're fighting front to back, their comp's really tough for Supernova to deal with. That was a really good engage from Onat and Kizno. We need to see more of that, because that's what Supernova's comp can do with the snap engage, right? Blow someone up, take a 5v4 from there.
And for Supernova, it still relies around Kizno and Onat, these younger pieces to the roster. When they found that snap engage onto Aaron, that is when they found their opportunity. Baron up for the taking, as Vision was cleared by the Last Dance off of that previous swing around. Interestingly enough, a lot of the gold lead for the Last Dance is on that Jarvan. And, you know, Jarvan's a great champion, can scale really well, but not as well as somebody like Azog, who now has 3 kills.
You can see that Zai is actually ahead of the Jinx now. So, again, something you were asking for, Grapes. Can we see Azog and Chookies put together a performance, you know, much like what we saw from that game 1 against AoE, where they really took it to one of our stronger bot lanes that we had out of our provisional teams in Challengers. Seeing them, I kind of want to say bounce back a little bit on this game, as they've played the mid game rather well. And honestly, at this point, I think once Wukong gets Black Cleaver, I think these fights are pretty winnable for the side of Supernova. They just have to make sure they're playing around the Syndra Jarvan and that their engages are clean. Because if they do not find a clean engage, if they get poked out, kited out by the tools that the Last Dance have, that's where things will get really tough.
You see 2.5 items on those carries for the Last Dance, Messages and Aaron, who have that long range. If that engage fails, it just becomes so hard to play the fight, especially with how much damage they have and with NXI jumping in on top of it.
I think that the items I'm really looking out for here on the side of Supernova, can Cleaver and can Zhonya's get finished by the time this dragon spawns? That's going to be really big for the side of Supernova. On the flip side, I expect Guardian Angel to be wrapped up for NXI. Him having 2 lives will be big, especially given how far ahead he still is. This is a jungler who is the same level as the enemy top laner, still for the side of the Last Dance. And then how far can Aaron get into that Last Whisper? Messages just base, got the second needlessly large Ra. Death Cap will not be ready for the dragon. But, I mean, we should stop talking about the dragon. We're thinking about Baron right now.
Everybody from Last Dance is onto the objective. Already taken down very fast. Kizno has the flash and the smite.
They gotta pull out.
Will they want to go into the pit? Dragoon teleporting onto the control ward, and now Supernova might have an opportunity as well. Flash forward from Onat, finds 2, the stun and the knockup. Supernova find their opportunity. Already taking down Messages. Sketch goes down as well, but Johnny taking up as much as he can, but gets sent back with the all-out from Dragoon. Aaron is alive, but maybe not for much longer, as Dragoon goes in with the Intofo strikes and smashes Aaron down.
Last Dance is playing exactly into what Supernova wants. They want to find the snap engages where they're executing members, where you cannot face the feel of the Last Dance. By starting the Baron and forcing a retreat like that, they position themselves perfectly to get comboed, and Supernova, again, they cash it in. They might be the lowest seed of the tournament, but look at this execute. Sketch, Aaron, Messages, they're all stacked on top of each other. And he finds 2. It's the Rakan Wukong combo. They all press R at the same time. Wonderfully played by the side of Supernova, but the Last Dance starting that Baron. You do not have to open up these windows. You do not have to play into the win con of the enemy team. The Last Dance gets punished for doing so, and Supernova now have taken full control of this game.
I can't get over what an incredible engage that was from Onat, this player who has been working on his communication, working on pulling that trigger correctly, was getting pressured a lot in the laning phase, and now has the tools to try and take this game back. Dragon started up by Supernova. They will get the Infernal Soul Point off of this. They stun up NXI and pick up the Drake. Now, and Onat maybe in a bit of trouble, gonna get locked up by the body slam. Cast comes down, Messages does one-shot the Annie, and NXI on the backside finds another 3-man Cataclysm. Pops the GA, Messages with a huge scatter of the week. Azog now in a very tough spot. No HP, no more life for him, as NXI swoops in once more and wins another fight for the Last Dance.
That time around, there was no snap engage. Kizno is still sitting on the Cyclone. Onat was never able to get the pair off, and the Last Dance off the back end Messages. That was the front to back they were looking for. The Jinx stays safe. The Syndra was able to find the first execute. How much can the Last Dance get?
Inhibitor surely to go down. They land a scatter onto Kizno. He has to use a W to try and get away. 15 seconds on Onat. The Baron buff still in the hands of Kizno, which means these minions are a little bit harder to take down. But sooner rather than later, Last Dance will be on the Nexus turrets. There's the first one the Ace picked up as well. I don't think it's enough time. Last Dance are going to pick up the win. Supernova fought, but they did not fight hard enough. Game 1 going over to our seed from the NACL.
What just happened in the last 5 minutes of that game? I mean, it was a Baron take into a wipe, into a Dragon take, into a wipe. Whoever got the objective lost the fight. The Last Dance were able to turn that last fight into the entire game. Shout out to NXI, who's GA and going legendary 8-0-3. I think it was a massive game from him. The reason that the Last Dance picked that up, but what happened? I feel like that game, like Supernova played their way back in. That was a winning position going into that Dragon fight.
It was the young mid laners again. Messages versus Onat, each having a great fight, one after the other. But of course, NXI, the one who we hyped up going in, the star player for the Last Dance, really taking the reins and taking that game 1 away from Supernova. We're gonna head to a break. When we come back, Sierra will rejoin us for our Rally Cry halftime show.
Welcome to the Spring 2023 LCS Challengers League Promotion Tournament. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Smax, and we're here to talk you through everything you need to know.
The promotion tournament will feature 8 teams from the North American developmental landscape, the 4 lowest placing NACL provisional teams from Spring, and the 4 teams who earned the most qualification points across the 2 NACL Spring Open qualifiers. These 8 teams will be placed into a modified double elimination bracket. Our first round will have a provisional team matched up against a qualifier team in a best of 3.
Seeding for the 4 provisional teams was based off performance in the NACL playoffs, while the qualifier teams were ranked by total points earned across both open qualifiers. The winners of the first round will play each other in the upper bracket best of 5, with those winners becoming the first 2 teams welcomed into the summer NACL season. The losers of round 1 will be sent down to the lower bracket, where they will play a do or die best of 3 against another round 1 loser. The winners of this best of 3 will move on to our lower bracket best of 5, where they will face off against the loser of an upper bracket best of 5 to qualify for summer NACL. Those eliminated will have the chance to re-enter the open qualifiers next split to earn the chance to challenge the promotion tournament once again.
So, best of luck to the teams competing, and we'll see you there.